Hi, I'm Steve Lagerfeld, editor of the Wilson Quarterly. I'm here with Cullen Nutt, our associate editor, who oversees our In Essence section. Cullen spends hours and hours going through hundreds, scores, hundreds, I'm not sure, of scholarly journals, specialized publications, all kinds of things, and picks the 20 most interesting, most important pieces and distills them into stories that are legible to the rest of us, and more than legible, they're interesting and fun. Cullen, what's hot in this issue? What do you got?
Well, we've got a lot of good stuff, Steve. I'm really excited. Three that stick out. The first one is about simit. It's a Turkish bread, sort of a cross between a bagel and a pastry. And Turks love them. They eat millions of them every year. But simit bakers and traditional sellers are under threat. First and foremost by a place called Simit Palace. It's a Turkish Dunkin' Donuts, basically.
Great.
They have a couple hundred chains throughout the country. They're actually around the world. And Simit bakers are worried that people are going to start buying from Simit Palace and not from your average street vendor.
Yeah. So this is like Turkey's national food, sort of under siege.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. The other thing which I should have mentioned is that Western foods are taking off in Turkey. The economy is expanding, things are really changing, and Turks, the other major threat to simit is Turks are developing a taste for pizza and Big Macs, stuff like that. So it's a good window into a changing society, and what we like to do in essence is highlight these sorts of stories.
Right. What else you got?
Well, we've got something that I think for parents of college-age children will really want to take an interest here, something from the American Sociological Review about parental financial investment in college education. This study that we highlight in essence found that the more parents invest in college education for their kids, the lower their grades are. So if junior's GPA without financial investment from parents is a 3.5, if they write a $15,000 check, his grades are going to fall to a 3.0, which is about a B.
Well, what about if Junior gets a scholarship or something like that?
He'll be all right. So scholarships, grades don't slip. Working, grades don't slip. What really made the difference is parental financial investment.
So there's no upside to this?
The upside is that the more parents invest, the more likely kids are to graduate. So there's a big silver lining there. Even if kids' grades slip a little bit, they're less likely to drop out because they know that mom and dad are, eventually expecting them to walk on graduation day.
Well, I think we have time for one more.
One more. We've got something close to my heart, American Foreign Policy. Three academics in international security, it's a journal, wrote a piece arguing sort of on the contrary to a lot of what academics think, that America needs to stay strong, that we need to be out in the world, we need to continue to be the lone superpower and to be, prime. It's not an argument you see a lot, which is sort of why we highlighted it.
Well, you do see it a lot, I guess, but you don't see it out of the university a lot.
No, you don't. Exactly.
The authors of this piece are?
One is John Eikenberry. He's a very well-known liberal internationalist at Princeton University. And they basically say that the costs of doing what we do now are overestimated by these people in academia who say we need to restrain ourselves. And that the benefits are vast. It's good for America to be strong, it's good for the country, and it's good for the world.
Well, that sounds great. I, of course, have a couple of my favorites I've got to slip in. I'm a blues aficionado, and we have a wonderful piece on the origins of the slide guitar in the blues. And I don't want to give away the story. It's wonderful. I'll just give you one word, Hawaii. Then we have an interesting piece by Jens Ludwig and some colleagues at the University of Chicago who looked at a federal pilot project years ago to move poor people from the ghetto into much better neighborhoods. 20 years later, they went back to see how those folks were faring, and kind of surprising. Really, there was very little difference in terms of their income, employment, their health, or any kinds of thing like that, but they were happier. And they'd been surveyed 20 years before and surveyed now, and comparing the two things, no question, they were much happier. Well, clearly moving away from crime-ridden neighborhoods and so on and so forth had something to do with that. But the question that Ludwig and his colleagues ask is that a worthy goal of public policy, to make people happier? Well, it's an interesting question. You run across a lot of those. I walk into Cullen's office and he's got piles and piles of these journals and magazines, all over the place. Many things online and just endless. You must have some favorites, though.
I do, Steve. Two really that come to mind. The first is called First Things. It's put out by the Institute for Religion and Public Life in New York City. And it's a theological, philosophical journal, magazine, bi-monthly, that examines really deep questions. Catholic theologians, Muslims, Jewish thinkers, intellectuals, engage in what I think is a very informed debate about the proper ordering of society.
Right. A broad array of subjects. I mean, it's not just a certain set of social issues.
No, it isn't. They talk about conservation, the welfare state, Rousseau. Really runs the gamut, and that's why I like it so much. The other one is called Eon Magazine. It's an online journal. They come out with a new essay every weekday. So at 10 a.m., if you're ever bored, you can just go to eonmagazine.com. And you'll find a new essay by an intellectual about really any topic under the sun. They tend to be long form, about 3,000 words. And I really enjoy it. I recommend it.
Huh. Great. Well, I'm kind of lucky. I have Cullen across the hall from me. I'm kind of a grazer. I go over there and paw through all the journals and magazines, and I have my favorites too. But best thing of all is that I have Cullen, and he's doing the work for me. He's doing the work for you too. He creates a great section in our In Essence section, and I encourage you to go take a look at it. Thanks, Cullen.
Thank you.